My dear students, today I am going to teach you class 3 English 2, and before I start a new chapter, I shall discuss with you about the exercise of the previous class. So the first one, 3, match the following and use them in sentences of your own. You have got two columns over there. There is column A, column B. In column A you have got A as dark, B as good, C as sweet, D as hard, E as stupid, F as dry, and then you have to add S with all of them, and then you have to select the correct option from column B, where you have got gold, a bone, knight, a donkey, stone, honey. So the matching will be like this: A as dark as night, B as good as gold, C as sweet as honey, D as hard as stone, E as stupid as a donkey, F as dry as a bone. So now I have written some sentences for you. A as dark as night, the street was as dark as night due to bad weather. B as good as gold, sometimes we consider our hard work as good as gold. C as sweet as honey, the fruits we ate after lunch were as sweet as honey. D as hard as stone, the pillars of the house are as hard as stone. E as stupid as a donkey, Ronnie is good for nothing, he is as stupid as a donkey. F as dry as a bone, as dry as bone, in desert regions some trees become as dry as bone due to scarcity of water. And the next one, you have got find rhyming words in the poem for the following: A neatly, sweetly, B roots, fruits, C leather, weather, D banks, thanks, E rolled, cold, F bore or slash for, G light, might, H dream, seem, I live, keep, J haze, days, K few, you, L fair, here. And since you have read a poem about the robin, a lovely bird, so you have a little interesting homework, a home task for your joy, for your pleasure. You've got a picture where you have got a few birds. And these birds, what you have to do, you have to find the names of the birds. And if you do not know the names of the birds, if you think you have not seen the birds, you can take the help from your elders and try to find the names of these birds. And then we are moving to a new chapter. A new chapter, the wooden bowl. It's a nice story. The wooden bowl is a nice story, adapted from a story by the brothers Grimm. It's a story about an old man called Kurt. He lived with his son Manfred and his daughter-in-law Tekla. This old man Kurt lived in an old little house at the end of a quiet street in the middle of the town, and he shared the little house with his son and daughter-in-law. Manfred was a carpenter. He spent all his time in a workshop next to the house. He learned carpentry from his father and became famous. The old man taught Manfred, and his son Manfred earned a good living. The couple, Manfred and Tekla, they had a son called Wilhelm. The boy liked to sit in the workshop and watch his father working. As he grew older, he helped his father in his work, and in the meantime his old grandfather was very old and getting older every day. Sometimes his hands shook. Sometimes he sat in a chair and nodded off to sleep. In the evenings, At the time of dinner, they all sat down to dinner at the table. Manfred and Thekla, they are not happy with the old grandfather of William because he was very slow and clumsy. Sometimes he broke a glass, he dropped a spoon, he spilled soup on his shirt and trousers. One day, at the time of the evening meal, the old man dropped his plate on the floor and it smashed into 100 tiny pieces. The food fell all over the place. And then the old man's son and daughter-in-law had to clean up the floor, but they were very angry. After that accident, they brought him a cheap wooden bowl from the market and gave him his dinner in that. The old man had nothing to do. He could do nothing, so he had to sit in the corner of the room to eat his food. So I'm going to read up to this today. So let's follow now. Once upon a time, in a small town in Germany, there lived an old man called Kurt. He lived with his son Manfred and his daughter-in-law Thekla. They all shared a little old house at the end of a quiet street in the middle of the town. Manfred was a carpenter and spent all his time in a workshop next to the house. He had learned carpentry from his father, who had been a famous carpenter in his day. The old man had taught his son well, and the son earned a good living. He made furniture for the people of the town, and from time to time he did some carving. The young couple, Manfred and Thekla, had a son called Wilhelm. The boy liked to sit in the workshop and watch his father. As he grew older, he helped his father by fetching and carrying things. He learned to clean the tools and to take care of them. He learned how to use a saw and a hammer and a chisel. And his grandfather taught him to carve wood into wonderful shapes. Now, the old grandfather was very old and getting older every day. He was not very strong. His eyes were dim and he could not see well. Sometimes his hands shook, and sometimes he sat in a chair and nodded off to sleep. He was always sleeping. In the evenings, when they all sat down to dinner at the table, Manfred and Thekla used to get angry with the old grandfather. He was slow and clumsy. Sometimes he broke a glass, sometimes he dropped a spoon, and sometimes he spilled soup on his shirt and trousers. He was an old man after all. One day, during the evening meal, the old man dropped his plate on the floor. Crash! It smashed into 100 tiny pieces, and the food fell all over the place. Thekla and Manfred began to clean up the floor, but how angry they were! After that accident, they bought him a cheap wooden bowl from the market and gave him his dinner in that. They made the old man sit by himself in the corner of the room to eat his food. That's all.